Most people spend their entire lives trapped inside an invisible prison, not because someone locked them there, but because they cannot stop wondering what other people think. They fear being judged. They replay awkward conversations before they sleep. They overthink every mistake, every word, every glance. They believe the world is watching their every move. But what if I told you something that might hurt your ego, and at the same time set you completely free? The truth is this: most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to spend much time thinking about yours. That realization may sound cold at first, but it is one of the most liberating lessons Stoicism has to offer. Hello everyone, welcome to the Stoic Hypnosis channel. In this video, you'll discover why chasing approval quietly steals your happiness, why trying to impress everyone keeps you from becoming yourself, and how accepting that nobody is constantly watching you can unlock a level of peace, confidence, and freedom that most people never experience, because the day you stop living for other people's attention is the day you finally begin living for yourself. Now, let's get started. Part 1. The Prison. You built inside your own mind. There is a prison that holds millions of people every single day. It has no walls, no bars, no locked doors, yet countless lives are spent inside it. The prison is called other people's opinions. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by invisible fears. You hesitate to speak because someone might judge you. You avoid chasing your dreams because you fear looking foolish if you fail. You replay conversations in your mind, wondering if you said the wrong thing. You change who you are just to avoid disappointing people who may not even remember the conversation tomorrow. Without realizing it, you begin living for an audience that barely exists. The Stoics understood a truth that is almost uncomfortable to accept. People are not thinking about you nearly as much as you imagine. They are busy worrying about their own appearance, their own mistakes, their own fears, their own future. Just as you spend hours inside your own thoughts, everyone else is trapped inside theirs. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the opinions of others are nothing more than passing echoes, temporary sounds that disappear the moment another concern enters their minds. Yet we often give those passing echoes permanent authority over our lives. How many opportunities have you missed because you were afraid of being judged? How many words have you swallowed? How many dreams have you postponed? Not because someone stopped you, but because you imagined what they might think. That is one of the greatest tragedies of modern life. You sacrifice your future to satisfy opinions that most people will forget within days. The day you finally realize that the world is not constantly watching you is the day you begin breathing differently. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop asking for permission to be yourself. And for the first time in a long time, you begin living your life instead of managing everyone else's perception of it. Part 2. People forget you faster than you think. One of the greatest sources of anxiety is believing that everyone remembers your mistakes. You stumble over your words during a meeting. You embarrass yourself in public. You post something that doesn't receive the response you expected. For days, sometimes even years, you carry those moments like invisible scars. You replay them over and over, convinced that everyone else remembers them just as clearly as you do. But here's the truth that experience quietly teaches. Most people have already forgotten, not because they don't care about you, but because they are busy carrying their own invisible burdens. The person you think is judging you is probably wondering whether someone is judging them. The stranger you feared was laughing at you has likely forgotten the moment before they even reached home. The friend whose opinion keeps you awake at night is often fighting battles inside their own mind that you know nothing about. This is one of the most freeing lessons Stoicism offers. People live inside their own stories. Just as you are the main character in your life, everyone else is the main character in theirs. Very few people spend their days thinking about someone else's small mistakes. Yet, we imprison ourselves because we believe they do. Imagine how much energy you would recover if you stopped carrying memories that nobody else was carrying. Imagine how much courage you would gain if you stopped waiting for universal approval before taking action. How many opportunities would you finally say yes to? How many dreams would you begin today instead of someday? The Stoics believed that suffering often begins not with reality, but with the stories we tell ourselves about reality. And one of the most painful stories is this: everyone is watching me. In truth, they are not. They are worrying about their own future, their own failures, their own relationships, their own fears. The moment you accept this, something remarkable happens. Your shoulders become lighter. Your mind becomes quieter. Your confidence becomes real. Because confidence is not believing that everyone admires you. It is realizing that you no longer need everyone to. That is the quiet freedom of a Stoic mind, and once you experience it, you will never want to return to the prison of imagined judgment again. Before we go any further, I'd like you to pause for just a moment. How much of your life has been shaped by the fear of what other people might think? If you've ever held yourself back because of someone else's opinion, write, "I choose my own path," in the comments. It may seem like a small sentence, but sometimes one decision is enough to begin changing an entire life. And if you're enjoying these timeless Stoic lessons on inner peace, self-mastery, and living with purpose, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Together, we're building a community of people who choose wisdom over noise, courage over fear, and growth over approval. Now, let's continue, because the next lesson may completely change the way you see yourself and the world around you. Part 3. The more you chase approval, the more you lose yourself. There is a quiet tragedy that unfolds in countless lives. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small compromise at a time. You stay silent when you should speak. You agree when your heart says no. You change your personality depending on who you're with. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You apologize for things that were never your fault. At first, these seem like harmless decisions, but over time, they begin to reshape who you are. Without noticing, you stop asking yourself, "What do I truly want?" Instead, your mind becomes occupied with a different question. What will make everyone else accept me? This is where many people slowly lose themselves, not because someone forced them to, but because they traded authenticity for approval. The Stoics warned against this long before the modern world existed. They understood that the person who depends on applause will always fear silence. The person who depends on compliments will always fear criticism. And the person who builds an identity around other people's opinions will never experience lasting peace. Think about how exhausting that way of living truly is. Every room becomes a performance. Every conversation becomes an evaluation. Every decision becomes a vote on your worth. No wonder so many people feel anxious without understanding why. They are carrying the impossible burden of trying to satisfy expectations that constantly change. The truth is simple. No matter how kind you are, someone will misunderstand you. No matter how hard you work, someone will say it wasn't enough. No matter how carefully you live, someone will still criticize your choices. So why surrender your happiness to standards you can never fully control? Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the only opinion worthy of constant attention was his own character. Not popularity, not reputation, not admiration. Character. Because character remains when praise disappears. Character remains when people walk away. Character remains when life becomes difficult. The day you stop asking the world for permission to be yourself is the day you begin discovering a confidence that no criticism can shake. And perhaps that is the greatest freedom of all, to wake up each morning no longer asking, "Will they approve of me?" but instead asking, "Will I remain true to myself today?" Part 4. Stop living for an audience that isn't watching. One day, you will look back on your life, and you won't regret the clothes you wore, the mistakes you made, or the moments when things didn't go as planned. You will regret the years you spent hiding who you truly were, the dreams you abandoned because someone laughed, the opportunities you ignored because you were afraid of looking foolish, the words you never spoke because you feared rejection. How strange it is that we often sacrifice our happiness for people who are too busy living their own lives to notice our sacrifices. We imagine an audience that rarely exists. We perform for approval that rarely lasts. And in the process, we slowly become strangers to ourselves. The Stoics believed that every human life is limited. Every sunrise is one fewer than the day before. Every year that passes is a year that will never return. So why spend those precious days trying to impress people whose opinions change with the wind? Today, they praise you. Tomorrow, they criticize you. The day after that, they are thinking about someone else entirely. That is the nature of the world. Public opinion is temporary. Your character is permanent. When you truly understand this, your priorities begin to change. You stop wasting hours explaining yourself. You stop comparing your journey with someone else's success. You stop measuring your value through likes, compliments, or applause. Instead, you begin investing in things that remain long after attention fades. Your discipline, your health, your knowledge, your relationships with the people who genuinely love you, your peace of mind. These are the things that quietly build a meaningful life, not because they make you look successful, but because they make you become successful from within. One day, the world will forget almost everything you owned, almost everything you posted, almost everything you achieved, but you will live every single day with the person you became while pursuing those things. So choose carefully, because the greatest investment you will ever make is not in your reputation, it is in your character. When you stop performing for an imaginary audience, you finally gain the freedom to become the person you were always meant to be. And that freedom is worth far more than anyone else's approval. Part 5. The life you want begins the moment you look inward. There comes a moment in every person's life when they face a quiet but life-changing choice. You can continue spending your days chasing attention, or you can begin building a life that no longer depends on it. Most people never make that choice consciously. They simply drift through life, checking for approval, comparing themselves to strangers, and measuring their worth by how much recognition they receive. Without realizing it, they hand over the steering wheel of their happiness to people who were never meant to drive it. The Stoics chose another path. They turned their attention inward. Instead of asking, "Who is talking about me?" they asked, "Who am I becoming?" That single question has the power to transform an entire life, because every day you spend worrying about someone else's opinion is a day you are not investing in your own growth. Imagine what could happen if all the energy you spend overthinking was redirected toward learning a new skill, toward strengthening your body, toward building meaningful relationships, toward mastering your emotions, toward becoming the person your younger self once dreamed of becoming. The truth is, life moves faster than we expect. The people whose opinions seem so important today may not even be part of your life a few years from now. The embarrassing moments that keep you awake tonight will become stories you barely remember. The fears that feel overwhelming today will eventually become proof of how much you have grown. Time has a way of shrinking everything except the person you choose to become. That is why your focus is your greatest asset. Whatever you repeatedly give your attention to will quietly shape your future. If you focus on criticism, you will become fearful. If you focus on comparison, you will become dissatisfied. If you focus on approval, you will become dependent. But if you focus on your own character, your own discipline, your own purpose, you become someone who no longer needs the world's permission to live with confidence. Remember this truth: whenever doubt begins to creep into your mind, you were never born to be remembered by everyone. You were born to live your own life with integrity. The world will always be busy. People will always have opinions. And tomorrow, most of them will return to thinking about themselves. So let them, while they are occupied with their own stories, quietly continue writing yours, because the most extraordinary life is not built by trying to be noticed. It is built by becoming someone you are proud to be, even when nobody is watching. Conclusion. The truth is both simple and liberating. Most people are not thinking about you as much as you imagine. They are carrying their own worries, chasing their own goals, and fighting battles you may never see. The moment you stop living for their approval, you reclaim something far more valuable than admiration. You reclaim your freedom. That is the quiet wisdom of Stoicism. A meaningful life is never built by constantly looking outward. It is built by turning inward, strengthening your character, protecting your peace, and choosing each day to become a better version of yourself, regardless of who is watching. The lesson to take with you is this: every time you catch yourself worrying about someone else's opinion, gently bring your attention back to the only life you can truly shape, your own. Instead of asking, "What will they think?" begin asking, "What kind of person do I want to become?" Spend your energy improving your mind, your health, your discipline, your relationships, and your purpose. Those investments will continue paying dividends long after other people's opinions have disappeared. If this message resonated with you, and if you're ready to build a calmer mind, stronger character, and a life guided by timeless Stoic wisdom, make sure to subscribe to the channel and become part of this growing community. Your support encourages us to keep creating meaningful videos that inspire strength, clarity, and inner peace. Thank you for taking the time to watch until the end of the video. See you in the next videos.